Hey guys, thanks for tuning in again. Hey, I wanted to give you a heads up. I was on the Jeep Wrangler forum and mentioned what had happened with my Jeep, and was kind of thumbing through some other threads and ran across a fellow that was talking about possibly having the same type of issue with his Cardan joint making noises. They call it the Angry Birds, which is kind of a chirping noise. He said he replaced his front drive shaft with a newer one. And someone mentioned, why don't you just, before you throw it away, your old one, give it to someone that might be able to use it. I messaged him, and we worked it out. He wound up sending it to me. So thank you very much, 1515 Art from Wrangler Forum. I really appreciate that. It came in. All the parts seem to be serviceable in order to change the old U-joints and anything that needs to be replaced. I'm going head to toe on both front and rear drive shafts, and we're going to replace them. So here it is. Head to toe, side by side, they line up just fine. Everything looks like it's supposed to be. And the best part is right here, this joint here works just right. So it's still free. You can look down inside. It's still got a rubber boot on it like it's supposed to. If it was making any noise, it's still serviceable. Looks like to me. I don't see any scarring or anything on the outside from anything getting in there messing with it. So I'm going to order fresh parts from Denny's Driveshafts, and hopefully they'll show up pretty soon, and we'll get them put in. All right, the box from Denny's Driveshafts came in. Let's see, what do we got? This. We've got 1330s, 793, 795. There's a new rubber boot. And I also ordered the tool to install that. I don't know if I really need it, but I didn't want to find out the hard way. I figured this would be cheap insurance. Alright, there it is. There's the tool to install that piece. Got this. There's our joint.
Hi, Daddy.
Brand new, spring and all. Cool. Can't wait to put it on. So I'm a little bummed out. I went through everything that was sent to me. This was everything in the box, and unfortunately there's one that's missing. So I'm gonna chalk it up to the fact that it's probably the holidays that threw somebody off. So I'm gonna need to call them sometime next week, on Monday hopefully, and let them know that I'm due 1793 for a U-joint, and hopefully they'll send it to me pretty quick. But for now, we'll do the front drive shaft at least and get that one all set up. I do have the transfer case ordered and waiting for that to come in the mail. So we'll just get done what we have and go from there. Okay, so an interesting feature that we see here is these little stubs. They're plastic. What that is it's a telltale sign that this is still a factory U-joint. And somehow they pressurize hot plastic in between here to hold this cap in, and it comes out here as little screws. If it doesn't have this, then it may have been replaced, but if you do see that and you're trying to bang these out and they're not moving, that's what's holding it in. So what you're going to need to do is get a torch, and you're going to have to heat up this area, which might take a while because it's real thick metal. Heat this up, it'll start to ooze out, it'll go away, and you'll be able to knock these out. So we're going to try this now with the torch, and we'll see how long it takes to actually warm it up and at least get one of them done. So you can see the plastic's starting to ooze out, and that's what we want right there. It's coming out like a worm. Alright, again, it's starting to ooze out. Okay, we've got it to scoot down some. Now what we see here is we've got the caps, there's a ring in the cap, and that's where the plastic is filling to hold it in place. So they must inject it in these holes, and it circles around that cap, and that locks them both in place. Okay, so here's the new U-joint. One cap's already off. Here's the other one. So what I'm going to do is put one on either side just ever so slightly in. Center it, then tap them together. On these they have a ridge, and there's a ring that comes with these. So once they're in place and they're inside, you'll put the ring on underneath, and it'll clip right in place and hold them secure. Now this is just a little bit of silicone spray. Just hope it helps to slide it through a little bit easier. Just lined up. Alright, got that started. That locked on. Another thing too, there's bearings in here and you don't want the bearings to fall off, so be real careful when you're putting them on so they don't pop out and turn sideways up against the cap. If that happens, it'll be hard to get it all the way down. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these on a piece of wood so it doesn't damage this on the ground. The ground doesn't damage it, and also I can get a little better hit on it. Okay, we got this one side on. Got the clips on right in here, both sides, and it moves, so it's a good sign. One down. Let's do the other side. It's going to be a harder side. It's got more to it. Okay, so one of the first things that you want to look for is it's got a yellow dot here. And I believe that has to do with balancing, the way this is set up. So because it is put together this way, I'm going to keep it this way. So what I've done is I've taken a punch, and I've punched just two little dots here, two little dots here, where the yellow mark is. You got a yellow mark here, a yellow mark here. These are going away because this is going to be brand new. And on this side too, it's got a yellow mark, but there's nothing indicating on this side. So I put one dot here and one dot here. So when this goes back on, we'll be able to line it up with no troubles. We're going to take off these clips, and we're going to start on this side, take this off, take a look-see up inside, and see what we find. Okay, so what I've done so far is I've got this joint on, this U-joint, and this U-joint is the same. So these two here are the same. This one here is the yoke for the CV joint. There it is. And this is the brand new one. So I put some lube on it. There's a new rubber boot that I put on. I didn't show it, but it's in there. And we're going to give this a shot. Let's see how it goes. There's also a spring, a little bitty spring here, that goes up inside of a stud that comes out. It's hollow in the middle and just slides right inside. Okay, it slid right in, popped right in, moves around pretty nicely. So next thing is to try to set this U-joint in. These two ends have tabs on them. where these will lock in. These two do not. They take a little clasp ring that pops right inside here. You can see it here. One goes in there too, one on the other side. Let's give it a shot. It looks like it might be a little bit difficult. We'll see what happens. Also, these caps are going to have to come off. Watch out for these little discs. They sit right inside here. They may get stuck on the end like this one just did. While moving this around, it may come off and you may not realize it. And what that does is helps spread out the grease inside the cap. So just give you a heads up. Watch and make sure that those are inside. They're on each and every single one of these. See, same thing here. Alright, there it is. Got it in place. Make sure that's in where it's supposed to be. What I'm trying to do now is I just want to line this up, line that stud up inside here so I know when I hammer it down it's going to work, but I don't want to do too much so I can make sure I get the other side on as well. Okay, that's pretty close. Alright, I got it flush. It looks like it's lined up okay. You want to make sure that all your needle bearings are along the walls too, that they don't fall down, and that little plastic plate's in there like I mentioned earlier. Now this one's going to be a little bit of a challenge to keep it centered, but looks like it's not doing too bad. There we go. That's it. We'll put the clips. We're good to go. Okay, we're losing daylight here, but this is going to be the final one I'm going to do today. This is the rear drive shaft. The U-joint on the other end, which goes to the pumpkin, we don't have yet. That's one I got to wait for. But this one we do have. This one is a factory U-joint. Also, it's still got the plastic plugs in it. So I'm going to have to torch those out. It's actually pretty loose too, so curious to see what they look like inside. On the front ones, like you saw in the last episode, I pulled them off. They were toast. They had rust in them, and the bearings were gone. We'll see how this one turns out. Alright, so I've torched everything that needs to be torched. Hopefully that was enough. We're going to start whacking on this to see if we can get those caps off. Okay, got all the joints put on. Painted the drive shaft. So this one's all nice and good too. And I did the rear as well. Now this one's going to be replaced. I just have to wait for it to come in the mail. everything else is good to go. I also decided to go ahead and paint the skid plate. It's fairly dirty and black stock, but I thought red would kind of stand out, especially if for some reason I flip over somewhere. Kind of nice to have that bright color. Don't plan on flipping over, but didn't plan on the transfer case blowing up either, so just never know. And here's the front part of the skid plate to match as well.